The NXL 2025 season has just concluded recently, but there's been a flurry of activity going into the offseason. Hello everyone, my name is Craig and this is Old Guy Paintball. And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about some of the recent moves that have just happened. Yes, the paintball season has ended, and as usual, there's always a flurry of activity in the offseason. Sometimes it's a little earlier, like this year, and sometimes it doesn't happen until January or February of next year, as people see how some teams and players shake out with contracts and different things. But it's been a busy offseason so far. First of all, Houston Heat, the original owner of them, has sold the team to Alan Buffton. Like everything else, I mean, he's had the team for like 10, 12 years now. And if you're trying to run a paintball team and you have another legitimate business, it's a lot to ask. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details about that, but in a future episode, I am going to talk about what it's like to run a professional paintball team. I'm doing some research on it right now to find more information out, but it is a pretty demanding thing to have to do. So I'm not surprised by that. Hopefully he will bring in an influx of maybe new money or a new direction for the team. It seems that Houston Heat has kind of foundered a little bit this year and struggled, but it'll be interesting to see how they fare with this change of ownership. But with that, Cody Mikowski joined them recently. Good move. He's a good player. I think he'll bring a little bit of breath of fresh air to the team, and it'll be interesting to see if any other moves are being made before the start of the 2026 season, but it's a good start so far. Also, one of the big shockers I thought was Konstantin Fedorov has signed a 3-year deal with the New Orleans Hurricanes. I thought that was a bit of a shocker. One, a 3-year deal, so it must be worth something. And the fact that he left Tauntauns, and we'll cover them in a minute, is also kind of surprising. Fedorov has kind of been bouncing around recently the past couple of years, and I'm not so sure if it's because maybe he's getting to be a little bit of an older player. His skills may have declined somewhat, and maybe some teams, I'm not sure there's that or something else behind the scenes. But he's going to bring a good veteran presence to the Hurricanes, and I think that's going to be a real plus for them. The Hurricanes has been one of them teams that's kind of often been, they've been around that 10th place position. They kind of like hang in there. They've made Sunday. They haven't gone deep a lot. But they kind of just been on that cusp. And maybe this will be enough to help push them over and get them into a little bit better tiers for coming up this 2026 and maybe playing better and making more Sundays. But it's a good pickup because he brings a lot of paintball knowledge to that team. The next big thing is Dynasty has reloaded. Yes, they've added Mike Urena and Archie Barnes and a couple other players, but those are the two that stand out right off the bat. Dynasty has definitely needed to go through a youth movement, but with that, Danny Schonauer was dropped, and I believe he just got picked up by another team. I believe Infamous just signed him. Good move for Infamous to pick him up. I think he's a good player. Used to be on, I believe, Level Up. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the direction is the Dragons going, but they definitely got to get a youth movement if they want to gain back. They've really struggled last year. So this could be first start of a rebuilding process. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ryan Greenspan and a few others going forward. Do they become more of the player coach, or do they kind of think about at some point retiring and letting the next generation take over? That's going to be an interesting development going into 2026. But definitely, they're doing a rebuild, and they're being proactive about it. The next big thing here is the LA Collision. They're a semi-pro team. I believe they came in 3rd in their division. Has bought the Tauntauns spot in the pro division. It's interesting because the Tauntauns had a decent year, but they're a team from France. It's probably a big deal to either get players to fly over or keep them here in America. It can be kind of expensive, so, that's kind of not a shock, but it is a little bit. And I don't know if that had to be when Konstantin Fedorov left. Did that have something to do with it? Was there something else going on? We don't really know, but I would not be shocked to see the Tauntauns reformulate back in Europe and become pretty much a European power team. They've done it the past few years, and they'll just play World Cup if they do very well in the NXL Europe division. But they bought that position. The Collision is coached by Mike Hinman. He's a good coach. So this could be an interesting development coming into the pro division. And with that, AC Diesel gave up their spot and then basically sold it to Wild Side Distortion, and that's a team out of Chicago. Not overly familiar with them. They are another semi-pro team. So that combined with LA Collision and with the promoted Jungle Cats will give us 3 rookie teams going into the NXL Pro Division in 2026. We haven't seen that in a couple of years, but that's going to be a huge challenge. And you factor that in with Sea Dogs and Leverage, man, that's going to be 5 basically inexperienced teams. So 25% of this division is going to be having a year or less in the pro division. So it could be a lot of interesting games going into next year. I mean, good teams may exploit these younger teams, and it might be one of those odd years where it's going to be a pretty big, kind of a, I guess you would say maybe disparity between really good teams that, in the top, say, 8 and the bottom 8, because they're going to have a lot of, teams that aren't going to be, will have a lot of experience. But this could be very interesting for paintball next year. So you might see some oddities coming up and with how it's going to get played. But I'm going to cover some more of that next year when we get closer to the NXL, maybe in a preview show. So, yeah, that has a lot to look forward to. But it's interesting. We've had a lot of moves early on so far in the offseason. I look for a lot more to happen between now and probably mid-February. I would say usually by mid-February to the 1st of March, most teams want their roster set. Usually they'll want to get practicing with the people they have and get ready for the upcoming year. But it doesn't mean we won't see some more moves between now and then. But yeah, Infamous picked up Danny Schonauer when he got let from Dynasty, which I think, actually, like I said, that'll help Dynasty a little, or help Infamous a little bit more. I was shocked that Dynasty only kept him for a year. He's a pretty good player, and so he's got some experience. So it was a shock that they let him go. So it'll be interesting to see how the direction of some of these teams are going to go in 2026. But yeah, I'm sure most of you have heard some of these moves by now, and I'm interested to see what you think. If you do, put them in the comments below. I'm always interested to see how other people see the world in paintball. But yeah, so if you have something to say, drop a comment down there. Not just for me, but for others. And with that, please, I'd like to remind everybody to hit that like and subscribe button. The channel is starting to grow a little bit, and I appreciate everybody's support, and I'm looking forward to continuing to put you out some better content going into the future. And with that, once again, thank you, everybody, and I'll look forward to seeing all of you on the paintball field soon.